The purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. It is no substitute for professional care by your doctor or your qualified healthcare professional. Never disregard or delay professional medical advice because of something you've heard on this podcast or in any linked material. Guests who speak on this podcast express their own opinions, experience, and conclusions. Dr. Shirley neither endorses nor opposes any particular opinion discussed on this podcast. The views expressed on this podcast have no relation to those of any academic, hospital, practice, institution, or other entity with which Dr. Shirley may be affiliated.
Welcome to Forever Fab, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty. This podcast is curated by Dr. Shirley Madhere, MD, as the definitive source of holistic wellness through beauty.
Hey everyone, it's Dr. Shirley. Welcome to 15 Minutes of Fab, a segment of the Forever Fab podcast where I review products, services, experiences, and frankly, whatever, in 15 minutes or less. If the full-length podcast is a couture dress, for example, then 15 Minutes of Fab is like a button-down French cuff white shirt paired with leather leggings. If you don't have time to tune into the full-length podcast, then check out 15 Minutes of Fab, just a small dose. Some have considered it truth and beauty or plastic surgery secrets or as a nerdy or academic take on wellness and beauty with a dash of fashion. Consider it what you may. My aim is to engage you as a credible and authoritative voice in most, if not all aspects of beauty and wellness with a dash of fashion. That includes products, wellness services, technologies, innovations, new scientific research, and plastic surgery. As the founder of Holistic Plastic Surgery, my approach to beauty is through a lens of wellness that's grounded in science, backed by medical study and research, strengthened by my clinical experience, and bolstered by my surgical training with the use of principles and techniques of plastic surgery. And then there's my love of fashion. Of course, I feel uniquely qualified to talk with you about beauty, wellness, aesthetics, and plastic surgery, as well as products and services within those spaces, not only because of my extensive, and may I add, expensive training and expansive background, but also because I'm one of you. Many of the human issues around aging and being a fierce fab person, as well as an agent for positive change, I live these too, and I try. You're not alone. So together we can help the world become a more beautiful, forever fab place. So if you'll have me and give me at least 15 minutes of your time, let's get at it. In this new year, I've decided that it will be one of expansion and discovery. So I'll explore all sorts of topics, near and possibly far-fetched, while still focusing on the topics that make the Forever Fab podcast, well, fabulous, namely fashion, the art of living well or wellness, and beauty. As part of my philosophy of holistic plastic surgery, which I created well over probably now 15 years ago, where I believe that beauty emanates from within, wellness plays an integral role in my practice. And this goes for many aspects of life that help you to live in grace and beauty, including nutrition, exercise, products, services, technologies, mind, body, spirit, and science. Welcome back to 15 Minutes of Fab on the Forever Fab podcast. This is part 2 of It's Not All in Your Head, Mental Illness in Women of a Certain Age. On the previous episode of 15 Minutes of Fab on the Forever Fab podcast, we discussed the factors that affect our mental wellness as we, women, age. Also discussed were some of the signs and symptoms that you may recognize or experience, but perhaps dismiss as temporary or minor. Today's episode features how to define healthy aging and how we may, in fact, help our brains to age well. The number of factors that contribute to and may even cause mental illness in aging women is daunting. It seems that there is so much stacked against us. There are things that we have some control over, yet there are many significant factors that are outside of our control. What may we as women do to help reduce the incidence of anxiety, depression, and flat affect as we grow older? What may we do to prevent the loss of joy and energy and purpose? This is the focus of today's episode. As I believe, as the founder of Holistic Plastic Surgery, I believe that with many aspects of our health, beauty, and wellness, a holistic approach is best to manage mental illness. And this management is based on the dimensions of wellness. It also involves addressing the interconnectedness of physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being, rather than just focusing on the symptoms. This means incorporating a variety of therapies and lifestyle changes to support our overall health, well-being, and recovery. The goal is healthy aging. Healthy aging is defined as the process of maintaining and improving physical, mental, and social well-being as one grows older. It is not about evolving or avoiding all age-related changes. It is not about avoiding all age-related changes. That's not possible. But rather, it is about minimizing their impact and maximizing your potential. By promoting and practicing healthy aging, individuals can live longer, more fulfilled, maybe even more joyful lives with a higher quality of well-being. Okay, well, how do we do all that? The dimensions of wellness are our guide. As a foundation to a sound health and wellness blueprint, the dimensions of wellness represent a paradigm that may be integrated into daily life, which, with frequency, consistency, and commitment, may improve health span and maybe even lifespan. It is also what I base my practice philosophy of holistic beauty on. The dimensions of wellness were first described by Dr. Bill Hetler, co-founder of the National Wellness Institute, or NWI. He originally developed the model of 6 dimensions of wellness in 1976. According to an AI overview on the web, this model is based on the idea that a person needs to be present in all 6 or more dimensions to achieve overall wellness. Challenging, I know. It's something to invest in and aspire to. Currently, to reflect our modern society, there are 8 to 13 dimensions, depending upon the source that you refer to. And these dimensions of wellness are physical, which is the overall health that is related to physical aspects of the body, such as weight, exercise, and disease prevention, etc. Intellectual, this encompasses brain health and growth through thought-provoking mental activities. Emotional, this includes the knowledge and skills to identify your feelings and the ability to manage those emotions appropriately in a manner that effectively contributes to well-being. Social wellness includes your social connections, relationships, and self-expression. Spiritual dimension encompasses faith and your belief in a higher power, and this dimension does not have to be religious. Vocational or occupational dimension pertains to your personal satisfaction in your job or career. Financial wellness pertains to your knowledge of personal finances, including having or understanding the skills of financial planning and expense management. Environmental is related to all of the things we do to care for the environment and respect nature. This dimension also includes recycling and proper disposal of electronics, medicine, sharps, and waste, as well as participating in energy, fuel, and water conservation, and the use of sustainable products. Cultural wellness is being aware of your own cultural background and the diversity of others, as well as having respect for all aspects of diversity and interacting with others with compassion, equity, and inclusivity. Digital wellness, according to the web, is the practice of considering how technology and your virtual presence affect your overall well-being. It involves creating healthy habits and boundaries around technology use and being intentional and respectful in online interactions. Mental wellness is how we think, process, understand, and use information. The creative dimension involves valuing and participating in a variety of arts and cultural experiences. The sexual dimension is about the physical, emotional, and mental well-being around your sexuality, however you define it. So these dimensions may be considered to comprise a circle, whereby one dimension is affected by the other dimension. One is related to the other, and the next, and the next. If one is off balance, all others may be out of alignment, either acutely or chronically in the long term. And this misalignment, regardless of where it originates or which dimension is affected, may contribute to unwellness or a state of dis-ease, including mental illness and perhaps even to illness in the long term. Science is feverishly working on the brain and how it ages. This is an area of the mental wellness dimension that continues to require research. It is well known that brain cells also age, and science has not quite completely figured out how to prevent neurocognitive or mental decline. What is clear is that the dysfunction, when it comes to the brain, is related to a lifetime of exposure, as well as genetics and epigenetics. So the sooner and the more you know, you may be able to play an integral role in mitigating how your brain ages and the health of your mental dimension. At the Gut Microbiota for Health World Summit in 2025, speaker and researcher Andrea R. Mershak, PhD, stated that, quote, "We are the sum of our environmental exposures. Remember that you're not only treating the diseases, you're also treating for a lifetime of healthy brain aging," end quote. Oh my gosh. Brain aging is the sum of a lifetime of exposures? Had I known sooner and earlier in my life, there are so many things that I would have and would not have done. Again, the sooner and the more you know, you may be able to play an integral role in mitigating how your brain ages. And while you may not be able to change your genetic code, you may certainly change or modify the epigenetic or external lifestyle factors that could contribute to your mental wellness. So there is hope. Quote, Mershak co-authored a 2024 review in the Neurotherapeutics Scientific Journal in which she and her colleagues explain that the brain is heavily connected with peripheral immune dynamics, and that the gut, as the largest immune organ in the body, is a critical place for peripheral immune development, thus influencing brain health, end quote. This is good news, because what is essential to know now is that there is research-based support for a gut-focused approach to healthy brain aging and overall mental wellness. At the meeting, Mershak added that, quote, there has been some evidence for the treatment of, for example, Parkinson's disease with probiotics, prebiotics, and diet of the non-motor symptoms of this condition, things like gastrointestinal distress and mood changes, but no real evidence that such treatments can help with the motor symptoms that we see in Parkinson's disease, end quote. For Alzheimer's and related dementias, for example, Mershak added that, quote, diet shows promise for cognitive outcomes, but there hasn't been much evidence for probiotics, end quote. If it comes to pass that with evidence-based data and life experience, anecdotal evidence as well, we may slow down brain aging with diet and nutrition, probiotics and prebiotics, that for sure is a good thing. And if nutrition and probiotics and prebiotics and a gut-focused approach to neurocognitive decline is relevant, then perhaps the same approach is relevant for improving mental wellness. What else may we do? Getting back to the dimensions of wellness, think about the places and spaces that you believe could benefit from a wellness overall or rejuvenation. For better mental wellness, for example, you would focus on how you think, on how you process information, and how you make decisions. The actionable steps you may take to improve your mental wellness and your cognition include prioritizing a balanced lifestyle. Start with the FAB Five. That's a reasonable place to start, those 5 rules. Increase mental stimulation by engaging in social activities and challenging your brain with puzzles and learning new things. You can also maintain a positive mindset by practicing mindfulness. So pay attention to the present moment and cultivate a sense of gratitude. Also, challenge negative thinking. Ask yourself when a negative thought comes up, is this true? Replace negative thought patterns with more positive and/or realistic ones. Sometimes it's difficult to believe in, rose-colored, more positive thoughts. So instead, default to realistic ones, things that are true. It has been shown that incorporating mindfulness practices, lifestyle modifications, and complementary therapies into your daily routines, all of those can significantly improve mental health outcomes. And those are just a few things you can choose to do in one dimension of wellness. Note that even if you focus on just one dimension, because all of the dimensions integrate and one affects the others, you cannot lose sight of the other dimensions. One affects the other. Lack of sleep affects your mental wellness, as it does your emotional and social wellness, etc. There's so many things to work on. So, which is more effective? What affects how we age the most? Is it nature or nurture? A recent scientific paper by several authors in the journal Nature Medicine concluded that, quote, both environmental exposures and genetics are known to play important roles in shaping human aging, end quote. So if both environmental and genetics, if both such factors are important in shaping how we age, they're also important in shaping how our brain ages and how we respond to that brain aging and how we respond to all the other factors that contribute to how we think and to our mental wellness. So based on the observations by these scientists, it stands to reason that number one, your genetics may not predominantly dictate how you age, including how your brain ages and your mental wellness. And that number two, making healthy changes to your life will have a beneficial impact on your healthy aging journey, including how your brain ages and the dimensions of wellness. That's more good news. So some of the information is already out there, as long as you get it from credible, experienced, and reliable sources. The more challenging part, however, is whether you will choose a better life for yourself and choose to decide to start somewhere, one dimension at a time, starting now. This concludes this episode of 15 Minutes of Fab on the Forever Fab podcast. Thank you for listening. And until next time, stay beautiful and forever fabulous, inside and out, and in all dimensions. Thank you for listening to this week's Forever Fab podcast episode of 15 Minutes of Fab. Until next time, live well, prosper, and stay beautiful, inside and out, and stay forever fab. If you like this episode of 15 Minutes of Fab on the Forever Fab podcast, please share it and subscribe to the feed. Did you learn anything new? Review this episode by writing just one word. to describe the value you got from listening today and give this episode a 5-star rating. In case you missed it, listen to this episode, past episodes, or check out who's coming up next on foreverfabpodcast.com. If you enjoyed listening to the Forever Fab podcast, get more audio and more visuals with a membership through Patreon. Choose the gold, platinum, or diamond tier for premium added content, special co-hosts, lifestyle videos, branded merchandise, and more by visiting patreon.com/foreverfab. And if you are a founder of or represent a beauty or wellness brand and you want to be featured on an episode of Forever Fab podcast segment of 15 Minutes of Fab, send me some stuff. Visit foreverfabpodcast.com and fill out the contact form. For general holistic beauty tips or to get set up an appointment with me to discuss your personalized options for leveling up your beauty, go to elementsandgraces.com and sign up for my newsletter. And for an online e-consultation on time, anytime, and on your time, visit clicklift.com for your wellness, plastic surgery, and beauty questions on the go. And it's time for the elevated house call, wouldn't you say? Jet Set Beauty RX offers beauty on-call services near your home or other domicile, delivering beauty in the privacy of a medically equipped, state-of-the-art mobile aesthetics unit. Reserve at jetsetbeautyrx.com. That's all for now. Thank you for sharing the love. Goodbye, gorgeous.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Forever Fab, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty, curated by Dr. Shirley Madhere, MD. Live beautifully and help make the world a more beautiful place.